Hey guys, Tyler Mahoney here with TrumanLakeFishingIntel.com. It is the end of the first week of March and we are back for another edition of our Truman Lake Fishing Intel Expert Roundtable, and I am joined by a crew of Truman Lake Fishing Hammers. Starting to my right over here, Darin Lankford on the end, bass fishing and crappie fishing fiend. He's got some updates from their first crappie tournament of the year this past weekend, so we'll get into that here in a little bit with his partner Hunter Bowling, who unfortunately couldn't be here because he's got a
beanbag.
Yeah, got a cornhole tournament on Tuesday nights. Jeff Faulkenberry right here to my right, endless season guide service, catfishing, crappie fishing. He can get you on anything, but I know catfishing and crappie fishing are his thing and his G3 boat, and he's been hammering on those catfish recently. Richard Bowling here to my left, the sage of crappie on Truman Lake. He's been putting those big spoons to work here in this last week, so we'll get some updates from him. And then finally over here, Dillon Stocking from Get Outdoors Guide Service, also another big-time crappie guide here on Truman, one of our routine contributors to the website. So we thank you guys for joining us tonight. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to Nini's Italian Steakhouse and Catering. As always, they sponsor these dinners. They provide food for us every month. It's really great. They're located down in Warsaw, Missouri. If you stop in and if you are a member of Truman Lake Fishing Intel and show them your membership, you can get a free appetizer when you stop in to eat dinner. They also do a ton of catering all over the area, so you can call them for that as well. Also want to thank Anglers Port Marine for helping to sponsor these videos. They're located right between Clinton and Warsaw. They do Phoenix, Camus, and low boats. Richard just picked up his brand new boat. I was really fortunate. I got to be the first guide trip in his boat, and it sure is a pretty thing. We just shot another video, so if you're watching this, if you go to the website or even just scroll the Truman Lake Fishing Intel Facebook page, you will find a full boat walkthrough that I just videoed with David McCormick of the Fish 30 YouTube channel. He's one of our contributors as well on the bass side. And we did a full walkthrough of his brand new Phoenix 921 Pro XP, and he kind of gives you some tips on how he utilizes different parts of the boat. It's a really, really cool, full in-depth video, so you can kind of see, what does that Phoenix look like. It's a really, really nice boat. So be sure to check out Anglers Port Marine if you're in the market for a new boat. And then lastly, the last big announcement, we have a new partnership with Golden Valley Realty Group based here in Clinton. I have actually joined their team as a realtor, so if you are looking for lake property, recreational property, homes, or looking to sell something, we've got a new partnership with Golden Valley, and that's what I'm here to help folks get that kind of stuff taken care of. And we're going to utilize the power of Truman Lake Fishing Intel to help get the word out on any listings, or potentially find, connect a buyer with a seller. So we have a really, really big platform that's growing like crazy. Last year we had over 60,000 people on the website. So it really makes sense if you are in the market to look at something or potentially sell something, to get that in front of all those eyeballs of all those people that are wanting to be down here in the lake area throughout the year. So really excited about that partnership. And you can learn more. You can see the banner ad on the website, and we'll have more coming out about that. But with that kind of concludes the announcements, and now we can kind of get into some fishing, some lake conditions. Like I said, it's the end of the first week of March. Richard and I were talking yesterday. We were really kind of getting used to that 1 week of 70 to 80 degree weather last week.
That's nice.
And here we are, and it's done a completely 180. Gotten really cold out there. How has that impacted things? I know we got a lot of rain, so what are you seeing as far as lake conditions go?
What I've seen is lakes coming up a little bit. There is some logs floating down the upper grand. I've not been on the Osage arm, but the upper grand's got a lot of stuff afloating. It's not dangerous to run, but you do see stuff floating. As far as the fishing, it didn't hurt the fishing at all. I was out twice today, and the second trip, I never left sight of the marina. I caught 45 fish in about 2.5 hours. And the reason I stopped on them, I didn't know they was there. I was side skinning while I was eating my lunch. And I started seeing all these blips on my side skin, so I put the trolling motor in while I'm still eating, and it just crappie everywhere. So stopped right along the channel edge and put a whooping on them.
Yeah, well, it seems like there's been no shortage of crappie, and you know, it's always good to know when there is debris floating down the lake. I remember last year around Memorial Day, we had a big rain, and you sent me that one picture of that giant tree.
The whole tree.
I think that was on the Osage, wasn't it?
Osage.
And typically the Osage does draw a lot of debris when we get these big rains. So I can safely assume, because you guys have been mostly on the Grand and the Tebow recently, but we can pretty much safely assume the Osage probably pretty similar as far as debris goes.
I've seen parts of it, and it's same way, trash.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's always good to use caution, especially now when we do get this. Well, what's the funny meme I always see on Facebook floating around with Missouri weather? It's like your winter time, your fall spring, your second winter, your second fall spring, your third winter. You know, we're in that like that second winter period right now.
Fourth or fifth.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, outside temperatures are cold. The water temperature was in about the mid 40s. You said it dropped a few degrees to the
About
low.
3 degrees, 41, 42 right now.
Yeah, so it's very good. And I know, Darin, you were out on Saturday and had a couple of. You were saved by little Hunter bowling.
Muscle man.
Yeah, well, muscle man pulled me back in the boat. I was going in.
Yeah.
I was already holding my breath. Gonna get wet.
Yeah, and, I mean, we had some crazy winds. So I know for catfish, Jeff, wind is a lot of times your friend. What is it when we have that crazy of wind? Is it your friend, or does it make things a little more challenging?
The fish still bite pretty good. Just more challenging, you know, fishing for them. But yeah, wind's definitely your friend. You know, you don't want it real flat, but you don't want to get carried away either. So, but the more the merrier. Really, it just makes it a little tougher fishing.
Yeah.
More uncomfortable.
Yeah. Now, the catfish bite's been, I mean, you'd call it probably good to excellent here in the last couple weeks?
Yeah, it's been excellent. It's this time of year is really about as good as you're going to get until fall time, you know, pending we don't have different conditions. A lot of folks, when we get calls, and people ask, what's the best time of year to come? We all have our favorite times of year to fish, but at the end of the day, we got to remember that we're fishing a flood control impoundment. So high water, the running water at the dam, current, no current, all those go into a factor. So, you know, this time of year can be really good because we've got early spring rains coming, but the water's holding around those 50 degrees and it's starting to warm up. So it can be really good. But, you know, when it's 102 in July and we have big summer rains and they're running the dam and the current's coming in, it can be really good then too. So, you know, the conditions change, but you always got to remember that Truman's a flood control impoundment, so that adds more variables to whether it's very good or very bad.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what makes, so this time of year, the catfish you're looking for, are you seeing them stacked up pretty big? Are you having to move around a lot? What's your process to find them right now when you say it's the best time of the year in your opinion?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, last week when it was really nice weather out, you know, it was getting sunny, those fish were kind of getting in some ditches and they were conjuring up a whole bunch and you didn't have to move at all.
Yeah.
You could set and catch, you could catch 100,
Yeah.
you know, in 4 or 5 hours. Now, with the weather jumping up and down, they're spreading out a little bit, but on these windy days, they're getting up on them flats and you still don't have to move, but you got to wait a little bit. And if you just give it a few minutes, when you get one to bite, you'll get 4 to bite. And then you get that all done, get everything put back out. You wait a few minutes, you might not have a bite for 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden they start going off. And these fish, when the wind's blowing in on them flats, they're just cruising in little bunches, and they come in and they pick up baits and you hammer them, and then they kind of cruise back out. And you get set back up, eventually they'll cruise back in again. And that's kind of the pattern right now.
Speaking of baits, obviously fresh cut shad is the ideal scenario.
Yeah.
What's it like trying to find that right now on the lake?
Parts of the lake, it's really good. It's not hard. I've been taking my boat to church and catching bait down way on the lower lake because the upper end's real muddy and water temperature, they're just not there. There's not much shad around on the upper end. So on the lower end of the lake and the deeper water, they're still holding down there. So I just take my boat to church on Sunday and catch bait for my trips for the week.
Yeah.